This was cool. This was a couple of months back on Jimmy Collins' show with Billy Joel. And an iPad test.
You're one of my all-time favorites. I just need to talk about it. But to sing with you is the craziest thing. So I came with an idea, or maybe I can sing with you. See if you want to listen. Okay, so this is what I have this iPad now. Okay? It's called a looper. And what it does is it loops your voice, and I was thinking maybe if you do it right, you could be a two-man duo. Yeah? Yeah, so look. And we'll put these microphones up into it, and so like we can do let's do like this can. Let's do lines internet. Okay. Let's do lines internet. Okay. Yeah. I'll start off first, right? We know it, 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 we know it.
Sound like
They didn't bother to tell you. There's a microphone setup that they have plugged in with those iPhones is about $3,000.
oh yeah.
That's still pretty cool. That application is like $2 on the app.
Oh, I know. It's incredible.
What's it called? Looper.
Looper. Oh, that's what I want. The Google car.
Yes, David, and there's a BlackBerry with this the new touchscreen tablet playbook. You're going to see, yeah. They're calling it the iPad killer. Well, Apple says they're not going to. In fact, today Apple released an ad for the newest must-have product.
Sleep. Revolutionary.
groundbreaking. It will change the way we work, play, think about everything. We don't know what it is yet. And here's what we do. It costs $599. $799 for the more expensive. The new ID. $200,000. Sorry, take your idea. Come and see the idea too.
Today, we have something extra special for you guys.
They were a chance for us to explore what does it really mean to have software. And we have functional code.
Oh, it's really cool.
You feel a little bit threatened. The opportunity for people to it's going to be very powerful.
Still seems pretty cool to me. He's a big Apple fan, but that's why they
Oh, yeah.
that's why they do.
Well, I'm not hang everybody up anymore, but I don't, I haven't heard from Robert, and I didn't call him, so. Questions?
You did pretty good about getting it.
You guys know how to do it.
No questions?
Two different announcements?
Yeah, I got a question.
You're not allowed to ask questions.
Number 3108, remember?
Go ahead.
Okay. My password gets scrambled up, so I get online with Apple and they take me through a 50 speaker and I finally get the password.
An Apple ID?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're after, that's a problem for your Apple ID.
Well, it works for like a week, and then I swear I plug in the same thing, it doesn't work, I get a little red string called, try again, then you try the second time, you say, well, okay, hit this link, you're going to do this, you're going to sign up and get
You're going to restart and all that stuff.
Yeah. So what's going on with
I
that?
really don't know, but I did have an identical thing happen. I was at a lady's house, and we were trying to make sure that all the passwords were set up correctly and stuff. And when we got to the thing of the Apple ID, now what I was doing, I was doing one of my cheat sheets, which is basically where you keep track of all your passwords, all your settings and stuff like that. I'll bring you some next time. And what happened was at the Apple ID, and she, being a senior lady, I hate to say that, but we're all, most of us are, dark hairs around here, that they take and they'll forget, they'll get confused, they write a note like Apple ID. Usually Apple ID is your email address, because nobody else shares here. It's usually your email address because nobody else has it. Then you create a password. The password has to fit.
Excuse me, Steve, real quick. It doesn't have to be an Apple email address.
No.
It can be any email address you choose to use.
Like, for instance, those of you who have hooked up to iCloud, bingo, now you've got an iCloud mail account. I need another mail account, I need a whole one of it. So any of your other or the iCloud email address, you make that your Apple ID. Then you put in the password. Now the password must have, and these are must-haves. And I'll tell you the other ones. The Apple ID must have one capital letter or more. It must have one number or more. It must be longer than 8 characters. So it's 8 characters or more. Then you cannot have two characters side by side the same. So if you were going to put your password in as something look, LOO, it won't allow that.
Yeah, well,
Huh?
mine has two letters.
Maybe that you got yours before. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I read.
It'll usually come back and tell you what it needs.
Well, basically what happens, and we can't show it because we can't get a new account, but it puts up a little window, a little square over to the right of the window where you put in all your data. And it has all the rules, and it has little clear circles, dots. And you turn all those on, and you got your password. You know, you fit all the criteria. And so that's it. And the trouble was, we went and we tried resetting her password, and it asked us for her birth date and all this stuff. Then we went back and tried to log in with all the things that we had, and it wouldn't do it. Then it said, reset your password. So we went in and tried to reset her password, and this time, when we put in her birth date, which was April 16th of 28, it said, that's not the birthday we have on file. And it's like, what the hell? So basically, you either have to go to an Apple store or call Apple support, online. And if they give you the deal, well, you're out of support warranty. Free support. And look at your system is creating the problem. I need it solved.
It's getting better if you have two Apple devices. If you've got an iPhone or an iPad, they're not starting to push this two-step authentication where you reset your password and it will broadcast a number to my phone because it doesn't have a phone system. And then I have to put that number from the phone into the computer in order for it to recognize. I guess it really is Greg Locke because he's got Greg Locke's phone and he's trying to change it up.
Well, the other thing is, when you do this, and it'll say, okay, do you want us to send you a confirmation email? Well, if we're having a problem with your email, we can't get it. Then
I should always have a secondary email to fall back on.
Yeah, you sometimes do. And then the other thing is, answer your security questions right then and there. Your date of birth is part of your security questions. Where were your parents? When did your parents meet? And what was your pet's name? All that stuff. And it's just really crazy because it has worked flawlessly. So.
I'm kind of an ally collector. When I log into iTunes and try to get some of my songs, they want to know that they have like a 10, 15-year-old email address that I used at that time inside of iTunes. So they want to know the password associated with the email address I have to use.
And that's where you have to either go into the Apple Store or call them at Apple. Because, see, I bought like 4 songs one time. One was a song by Johnny Mathis and a couple of other ones and a whole album. Well, I wanted to go and re-download it because when I go to play it, it says I can't find it on my iTunes. And so I tried to download it, and it won't do it. And supposedly, you go and log in, and over to the right top area is where you sign into your account. And so what happens is the thing is that if you press that, below that it's purchased. And you click purchase, and it'll give you a whole array of all the apps you've done and everything. And there are 3 things that'll say on there. Usually price. Usually it'll have a cloud with a line down from it with an arrow pointing down. And I think there's one other, but what happens is if you download it, like if you want to download it again, you click the one with the cloud and download. I tried that, still didn't work. Then I called Apple and told the guy what happened, and they were so freaking tight. Well, geez, why don't you just, and it's like, I've already paid for it, So they said, well, listen, rather than dealing with this anymore, I'll go on and I'll give you 3 credits. 3 credits never showed up. And I'm just like, I give up. You know, certain times you gotta.
Well, there's a problem because I'm in the same boat. I've got, now it's greglock@mac.com.
No, but I mean, I
But I
have the
used to be
same.
greglock@sbcglobal.net, and I have some stuff still tied to that. And that's been an ongoing thread forever and a day. How do you merge those two together? You can't.
Yes.
So your best, in the case of iTunes, it's not so bad because you can sign out of your account, you can still know the name and password, and maybe in your teaching, like we're looking here, for your old ones, like in my case, sbcglobal.net. I can log in as greglock@sbcglobal.net with my password if I still remember what that is, or in my teaching handle. Download the stuff so that's on my Mac, number one, okay? Then what I should do to really solve this problem down the road is assume that Apple won't help the user. Burn those off to a CD.
Yes.
Right now, burn them off to a CD, just the cost of a CD, assuming you've got access to a CD version, because the newer Macs don't have it. And then go ahead and sign back out and sign back in as your normal account that you always use. And reinstall those.
Re-import them off the
Re-import
CD.
those off the CD. First off, the old music, contrary to what Apple says, that they no longer have digital rights, Millennium and all that, BCMI or whatever it's called.
DRM.
It still exists on your really, really old stuff.
Yep.
And so as soon as you write it off, for all practical purposes, to an analog format, which is what CDs are considered, and then re-import it back in, they've lost the digital rights management on it.
Yeah, that's what basically.
So it's just like you ripped a CD from your own collection
Exactly.
for all practical purposes.
What we used to do
Now you
is,
don't have to worry about
if we wanted to be able to do that, to have it to where I don't have to deal with the DRM, is the process Greg mentioned of take the songs, burn them to CD, and make it as a audio CD. And then what happens is you then take and re-import them from the CD. That breaks the code.
Like one of the issues that's always kind of pissed me off a little bit, and hey, I'm all for giving artists their due.
Mhm.
But if I buy a song, let's just say In the Jungle, but they just use it there, right? The line says it's not that one. And when I was working for Konica Minolta, I made a lot of monthly movies for them, a lot. And I would take and I would pull music from, it's only playing inside my company. I'm not putting it up on the network, and up on the internet or whatever. So I would add a proprietary piece of music to go along with whatever our presentation dealt with. But I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. As long as I played it on a Mac that was authorized by my, remember the old 5 Macs, you only have 5 Macs you can authorize? As long as I played it off my laptop or off the company machine, which I'd authorized at the time, great, no problem. As soon as I took that file, if my boss came to me and said, hey, Greg, can you give me a copy of that video? Sure. Again, he's not going to put it up on the internet, he just wants to have a copy. I'd give it to him, the music would no longer play, because he's not an authorized computer to play that music. And the only way I could ever get around it down the road was to burn that off to an analog, burn it off to a CD, trash the version that I had here, and re-import it back in. I really didn't lose anything except you lose in the digital rights management crap. And then I have to put it back into the movie again. Because now it's no longer associated to that digital rights management. One of the reasons why Apple made the change to DRM-free music royalty crap was for that purpose.
Yeah.
Well, that's causing so many aggravations.
I was
then being too legit about it.
I had a customer come from Palm Desert, and he had taken his wife, he dropped off his computer, and he went to a graduation up in Santa Barbara of a relative. Then he came to LA and saw, what was that, Book of Mormon. And so he said, that he'd love to have that. And the thing is I went to check the Book of Mormon because I thought I already had it. So I go to there, and now they're $1.29. So it's 30 cents more than we used to pay.
But that government of the digital rights management means almost working.
It's still got your name buried in there. There's still your name.
Yeah, but at least you can use it for whatever you want.
Right. So anyway, that's the story on on that. How many people bought a new computer that doesn't have an optical drive, a CD, DVD? Okay, one thing I want to tell you is if you need one, everybody's, oh my God, there's $70 there. If you check Watch Fry's or check and watch Micro Center, they have them down at $29.
And they work fine. They'll burn DVDs, they'll burn CDs,
Yeah,
they'll burn the old style read, they'll burn them all. They'll burn all that. So it's not Blu-ray.
if you're not upgrading because you want your compatibility or to have the optical drives capabilities, there is a way out. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not really following, because I don't know too much about optical drives. Could you really explain what
Okay.
you're talking
But
about here?
he had his hand up first. So,
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, long run, so.
Okay. So basically, when we refer, or Apple refers to an optical drive, that's going back years and years and years. First optical drive was read-only CD. And then they came read-only DVD. And then they came to DVD R. RW, excuse me. RW. DVD RW or CD RW was a rewritable one. And basically what happens is you load it up and it burns all its little things in. And then it has a process that you can go in and, like a hard drive, just kind of wipe it clean. But it only does it for so many times, so many tries. Then you get into the DVDs. You know, it doesn't cost them that much to make a higher one than a lower one, just the same as the difference between versions of a hard drive. All they add is another platter and another head, or another couple of heads. So sometimes it's cheaper for them. You know, like I have trouble, somebody has a bad hard drive, 250 or something. Oh, I don't need any more. I said, I can't buy them anymore. You know, at least I can get, it's 500 now, 1 terabyte. So it's really tough. But getting back to the optical, basically this group of drives is what is called optical drives. Anything that has to do with the little CD platter, you know, the CD or DVD platter. And so what happens is, what Greg was talking about was when you take music that you already have, or maybe you bought off the internet, I can't believe, off the iTunes store, I can't believe when I work on some people's computers how much people spend, you know, some people, I go through my CDs, I go through a friend's CDs before I go buy it. And then, so the thing is once you got it on the computer, but it has the DRM feature on it, which means that it won't, you can't transfer, just like Greg mentioned. You can't transfer to another thing. It can play on yours, but that's it. Any of those 5 devices that you authorize, whether it be your iPhone, your iPad, another computer, stuff like that. So what happens is you're taking a digital copy of it that's in iTunes. Yeah. And if you can go with the lines of audio, you know, the music by list. There we go. Okay, so see this one here, let's say, AFI. Now, Greg, wait a second. Can you close that? Now, you don't have up here, you need to check view time. Up. No, you had it right there, you just had to go up higher. Go to view. Go to view. Okay, and view options. No, wait a second. Should be there. Time. Here. Time.
Oh, kind. You're saying kind.
I'm sorry. My
You can also right mouse click and pick it here, too.
yeah, that's what I said. Okay, so any of these files, and as we go, just scroll through. Anything that says Wave Audio, of course, is a Windows file. MPEG Audio, whoop, you passed it. Okay, come down. Come down. I can't reach that high.
Go up, you mean?
Yeah, okay.
Protect the
Right
AC.
here. That, according to you, is a purchased AAC audio file. That doesn't say protected, okay? This is purchased, this says protected. So if you want to unprotect it, what you do is you gather all these things together, you click on a bunch of them, and then
Make
you
a playlist.
make a playlist, and then you burn that playlist to a CD as an audio file. And basically, then you can take that and go to your car, plug it in, or you can go to your stereo and plug it in and play it. Now it's it's digital, but it's not the same digital. And so we call it an audio CD. Once you've done that, you played it and tested it, then you take and put it back in the computer and you can get rid of, usually what I do is that before I get rid of anything, I make a folder on the desktop that says to be trashed. And that way, if something goes wrong, I still got it.
Well, you do have Time Machine running, don't you? You still have it there.
Yep.
Okay, so like what Steve was saying here, I've made a simple playlist up called CD Burn. I dragged in 3, let's assume it was 20 or 30 or whatever. And then I would go ahead, if I had, since I don't have a CD-ROM drive on this machine,
Oh, yeah.
not on this laptop,
Oh, that's a good CD.
and I normally carry mine with me, but I remember something last night. But if I plugged in a CD-ROM and the system recognized that I had a CD burner plugged in, an icon would show up here giving me what looked like the nuclear symbol. And I'd be able to click on that and burn those files directly to a CD. Now, I have a hard copy of those files. And I could go back here if I wanted to, like Steve said, I would probably cover my butt and save them off to a folder or into another drive. But I'd go back here, delete them out of my iTunes library right now, and re-import them back off that CD. They're no longer DRM.
And they're not protected. Yeah.
I noticed that many of those files you got are liquid C files.
Right.
Yeah, that's audio, that's Apple audio compression format.
Copy them over, you want to make sure that they can convert them.
That level of quality.
You can change that. That's all in the preferences. You can change all
Quality, if you burn it to AIF and then back to AAC or MP3, they'll lose quality on the instrument.
Yeah.
So you want to
So yeah, there's some things you need to learn.
that. Yeah, but at my age, I can't hear past about 15,000 kilohertz, so it's not really a problem.
Some of those people out there hear them.
That's true.
Well, the funny thing was, we were out in LA last night, and I mean, the fireworks. We were coming home down the 405, and everywhere you look had aerial. And I said to my son, I said, no wonder I can't hear them. All those years of having fireworks. It was like, okay, you answered that, and I think, yeah, you next. Keychain. Okay, keychain is very similar to 1Password in the sense that it stores, and if you go to a place, it'll say at the top or somewhere it says a little checkbox, add to keychain or keep in keychain. What it does is it creates identities of different, okay, here it is. Greg's locked time capsule. Say he forgot what his password was for his time capsule, which is in an airport base station. Then if he needed to, he could take and go click twice on that. Now, time capsule click. Right, there you go. Now, show password. This is where it is in his computer. Click show password.
Well, I have my password in it that I use. I don't want to show it.
No. Just try it.
It just did, Steve.
It showed?
It showed it
Yes.
because I got this set up differently.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I'm trying to do it.
It's fine. Normally it won't show the password.
Fine.
It'll be just dots.
Yes. No, it won't be even dots. It'll say, put in your keychain password. Now,
Here you go. Here's a good, I picked one that
There you go. So you can allow, deny, but you can't get at this until you've done that. Okay? So if you say allow, it still needs the password, but it will put the password in here for you, and you make a note of it or whatever. Anybody know what this is for?
Yeah, for coming up with random.
Right. If you want to really screw yourself up, you have that Apple do it.
On my airport Extreme,
Yes.
I use that to generate a 39-character password. No one's going to get into the airport.
I do.
Not even you.
Not even me. If I lose keychain, I'm certain I can't.
Hey, wait a second. That's my password.
That's OACC board's password, Steve. You happen to set that up that way, that's your fault.
Here's one
We're doing
thing.
that.
Here's one thing that you learn, especially at places like Leisure World, where I volunteer and work and do work for people. People will call me back now, even though I've written their password that I set up for them on their receipt, and I have a copy, they have a copy. I still, they call me and say, I can't find my copy. They'll take, and I'll have to go through paper receipts because they're not filed by number, they're filed by name and all that stuff. So what I do is I just make their password for their airport the same as mine at home. And that way, if anybody calls from Leisure World, I know that that's their password because I set it up.
The other trick you can do real quick is if you're working with somebody or whatever it is, put a piece of Scotch tape on the bottom of the keyboard. And take a Marks-a-Lot and write the password on that Scotch tape.
Marks-a-Lot.
Well,
Nobody's
you know what I mean.
Marks-a-Lot.
I couldn't think
Sharpies.
A Sharpie. Take a Sharpie and write it on that piece of tape, but you can always peel it off. So I wouldn't do that for a laptop. Although
No.
I used to put it in when we have removable batteries, I used to put it inside there.
Yeah.
But we don't have removable batteries anymore. But the idea was if somebody says, I can't remember my password, flip over the keyboard and look and see if you've got it written down there.
Yeah.
That's stuff if somebody wants to get in, they're gonna break into your house and steal the damn thing, so why worry about it?
A situation like mine is it's unusual because you don't service people every day. But in their case, to make it easy for me, I just did that.
A simple solution to that is put all your passwords on a flash drive and have it. So when they lose them, print out, plug it in, and see it.
I have enough trouble with them getting their computer started. I'd say so.
Well.
You know, I volunteer on Mondays over at the Goodwoods Village Leisure World South. And these people are coming in, first off, January. Every January, you know what people got for Christmas. And they come in and they take our classes that are for a donation of $2 a session, 2 hours. And they take and come in there and they want to know about it. Some of them pick it up real easy, and some of them, they're at tears, you know, they just don't understand. You know, it's like, you do what you can for them. But, yeah, that's a good idea.
Here's another utility you can get yourself. There are two that are really popular. One is 1Password,
I love
and
it.
it's on the 4th major version of it. It's available for both, actually it's available for PC, but it's available for iOS and also for Macintosh. And this used to sell, I think it's still got around $49, but every so often it can be available in a bundle
Yeah,
for like $19.95,
Or
you
less.
get 8 or 9 more things with it.
yeah. That's really a good way to get it.
I kind of look at it as a friendly keychain. Keychain's
Yes, basically, yeah.
Keychain's a little more cryptic. Here I'm looking at an account that I no longer have when I was looking for a job. So this particular company, to get on this ACOLA or ACOLA or whatever it's called, you can see my username is great, lock my password, there was the password that I used, or they assigned me or whatever it is. They show a strength indication, they show a website. You can add notes and stuff like that if you want to on these particular ones. Credit cards, websites, or whatever it is. The cool thing is, like if you're working with any of the browsers, specifically like in the case of Safari, it has a nice feature that if you're in Safari, you can add their little shortcut to it. So let's say, as an example, I go here to B of A.
Okay, put it.
Well, I'm not going to, but I could click on that right there. But now it recognizes that I've got the application open. But normally, when I would click on the one password little key symbol, it's going to ask me for the password to open up the one password.
Yes, that's why they call it one password. On the phone, it comes up with a first 4-digit password what's called a code, and then you do what Greg was saying, which is the second level of protection. It only happens usually on the phone, but there might be an option on the desktop that would do the same thing. Yes.
One password has its own feature. How does that relate to that?
No, it's reading.
It's still using Apple's key.
No, they claim they have their own.
That's strange because I remember them having their own, and then when I got an update, we had to allow it access to our keychain. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
The one thing I like about I'll use one password over keychain access 99% of the time. Because, like in the case, if I put in a credit card, not only can I put in my account to get onto the Discover card and my password to get into the Discover card online, but I can also put in the actual 4-digit, 16-digit code, the security code that's on the back side of the card. By default, it hides that. You have to click on a reveal button because that's what they use. It identifies really you on the phone if they've got a card on file with you. The date when the thing dies on a keychain doesn't maintain that information. One password maintains that in its own file. And I can add a little note to it, like, make sure when you use this, you put it down in your spreadsheet for keeping track of your purchases or something like that. I can put in all kinds of notes. I really like one password from that flexibility standpoint.
Yeah, all these things have different options.
And also,
and
excuse me, real quick, Steve.
One
of the things that 1Password's also got going is while it's open, let's say to the right of my username or to the right of the password, because it knows it's me since I've used my kid's password to get into the application, I can click on a button called Copy, and it immediately copies that into the clipboard. Then I can go back over to my website or whatever it is and do a paste, and it pastes that in.
And guess what? Some sites will not let you copy and paste.
That's true.
I ran into that the other day.
About that.
There are so
They're
many
afraid to
ways.
look at it over the screen, over somebody's shoulder.
Yeah. So
Some sites don't have the password and the user ID on the same page.
That's right.
yes, in one of my financial American funds, you have 3 things for security. You have your username, your password, and you have a picture, an identity picture. So,
The picture they normally don't require you to do.
no, all you do is choose it once. But if you go in and you put your username, because using 1Password, it tries to put in the password, but it can't because that's not on that screen. So first it puts in my email address, and then I enter that, and it says, okay, you got that far. Now there's a picture on there that I picked, which is, I think, an old-style payphone. And that tells me that that's what I put in, so I recognize it. Then also on that same page, you put in the password. I go back to 1Password and pick it again, and it puts the password in. So, and then the neat thing, the neat thing is, though, I have found is, and I keep forgetting, my son has to help me, is you can wirelessly update your phone password file from the computer. So you don't have to plug it in and sync it.
1Password?
Mm-hmm.
Sync to Dropbox.
Pardon me?
Sync it to Dropbox.
I don't like putting anything in Dropbox.
No, 1Password does it all by itself. If you have it on both ends, it's at iOS 7, it'll maintain compatibility between the two. In fact, every time I log into this computer, there'll be a little pop-up message up there that says, backing up 1Password. And so every time you start a new login session on that machine that you've got 1Password installed, it makes a copy of its existing database and backs it up locally right there on your computer. You've got a fallback on it just in case.
Now, when people say, okay, it's 1995 or whatever it is for a single user, and it's 49 something for 5 users, and they take and they don't have to be on the same network or anything. They can be notebooks or whatever. But the thing is it came in very handy for us because I bought one for me, and then I had to put one on my wife's computer, one on my son's computer, one on my notebook, and one on his notebook. And my wife uses an iPad when she travels, so she doesn't really need that. But it's come in very handy, and you figure $49.95 divided by 5 is not really expensive at all. I mean, some of these programs that we have now are so cheap compared to what we used to pay in the Apple II days, early Mac days, but Apple II, they were, it wasn't uncommon to see $100 applications. Yes, sir.
I had a Verizon mail, and I was using a mail app.
The Apple Mail.
Right.
Postage stamp.
Okay, I have moved and I lost the Verizon mail account. I have now one Yahoo mail account and 2 Gmail, and so 3. And I entered them all in my mail, and they work perfect. They look beautiful. I love it. It's great. But I have one issue. The address book that I had under the Verizon account, I can't locate it. I can't find it. I can't do it. Is there?
You know where it is?
No. I think I do, but I'm not sure.
Give me a guess.
In the library.
It's on their servers.
It's on their server? Yes, sir. I thought
This
my hard drive.
is one of the things that I tell people constantly. We touted it here, and I tout it at Leisure World too when we're up in front of people. Use Apple Mail. Apple Mail, you can put, you have Google, Microsoft Mail, just any of them. The address book is stored on your computer. Nobody else has access to it. And there's nothing I hate worse than being forced to store my contacts on a server somewhere that I have no control of. In fact, there's a lady sitting in the back of the room who had been using, I think, AOL back when it was a long time ago. I remember Bonnie. And somebody got Bonnie's password, got into her, well, whatever it was, Yahoo or Gmail, any one of the ones that store the stuff on the server. So what happened was, and the reason I know this was because I got a letter from Bonnie saying, oh, hey, I'm stuck in London, somebody stole my purse and all that stuff. And I immediately, and Bonnie, I remember people were calling the sheriff, go check on Bonnie's welfare because, but people got tricked into sending money to her, and the address they gave is a hoax, people that are sitting there counting their money, So that's why I never like using the Gmail, the Hotmail, the Yahoo, stuff like that, because every time you do that, you're dealing with having to access the internet, okay, to leave it on the internet.
When you say Apple Mail, that's different than the mail application?
No,
That's the mail application.
We're trying to make it easy for everybody. The mail application is mail. We also refer to it as Apple Mail because many people don't know when we say mail, what mail,
That's where I had the Verizon address.
You had the
You didn't
Verizon.
have it in your address book locally or?
I had them, when I would open mail
Yeah,
and go to address book,
right.
they were all listed.
There should still be an address book.
They're not there.
Did you have them in a group?
Yes, I grouped them. I had
Did you
a
find
list,
this?
and then I had groups.
Did you have the Verizon group?
And Verizon.
I mean,
All my mail went through Verizon, and it was all in AppleNet. It was all run through AppleNet. I accessed it.
Right, but mail does not keep your addresses. The address book, or what they're going to probably call them, contacts, is what keeps all your addresses local on your computer.
That's not there.
now, the thing is, it may be that when you deleted the account,
I didn't believe it. It's still there. I can still access it. I just can't use it because it's inactive. But I can access it. If I pull up that Verizon account that went away, and I hit compose, I'll get a thing, and I can really do everything. And
you
I
can
have my
send it.
signature.
No, you can't send it because it's not an active account.
I just don't have access to the contacts of
Right.
my contacts.
It may be that when you make an account disabled, that it may take it out.
It won't take it out of the address book.
No? Okay.
Something touches that, it's separate.
Okay, so here's one little hint for everybody. Go home, go to address book, and, okay, it's behind me. You go down here. That you take and make a backup of your current address book. And it goes, and let's say it makes a file with everything in it, all backed up, and .abba, I think it is. And what happens is, you take that and you store it somewhere on your hard drive. It would be in Time Machine, possibly. You would have to try. What I would do before I do this, I would make a backup of what it is currently. Okay, just make a backup file of these seconds. Then take and have the address book open and click the Time Machine icon, and it will then find out what it needs, and then the screen will change. The background will become like you're in space, and there will be address books, infinitum, or I mean, every year you've had it when you started using Time Machine. And you can go back and you can check and see if you've got one that does have the things you want. And then you click on it, go to the bottom right, and say restore, and it will bring it back and put it there automatically. That's the other one.
Real quick.
Make sure you back up your list first.
I also have the same issue with my signatures. In the Verizon account that I deleted, I had about 40 different
Signatures,
unique signatures, and I would like, now I have 3 active mail accounts. I would like to somehow have access to those 40, and is there something to do without having to do it one at a time?
Try. Well, can you access those?
Yeah, I can access through that Verizon. Like I said, if I bring up create mail, or
Right.
it brings it up, and I have where it says, I can access the signatures, and I get the whole file.
Right.
With all 40 of them. I can access. I can put whatever one I click on, it'll go right into the body, just like it always do. I can always just copy that, paste
it in, but the thing is, that's kind of
deal.
That's doing it on the web utility for Verizon, right?
It's on the Apple.
No. You're not asking. Okay. Where are those being stored? Are they being stored at the Verizon server? Or are they being stored inside your mail program?
Well, I gotta believe they're in my mail program because I don't have the Verizon anymore.
And you can still get them,
I can still get them.
but you can't use them on the other accounts.
Right. When I go into signatures, it has the 4 accounts, the dead Verizon, and I can access it. I can click that, and they show up one at a time.
right?
So if you click on like, see, I don't have a signature set up for Google. I have 3 icons and I got a dummy one here. Depending on how many accounts you have here, those will get, if I made a Yahoo account up, it'd be added here. If I made a Hotmail account, it'd be added here, right? I can make a signature that's unique for that account only, or I can make it show up in the all signatures, my choice.
Where do you get all signatures? Watch, let's see.
Well, like right here we are. Here's the 3 that are being used for my iCloud, which is the same as me, or the same as Mac, okay? And that is the one I call Break Lock Prez, Break Lock Phone, which has got my address and my phone number, all that, and then Break Lock Light, which has just got my email. They should have this anyway, obviously, because it should be in the return letter. But some people aren't that bright to figure that out. Now, if I wanted to add this one to the Google one, I literally would just drag this down over here. Now I've got one signature available to me when I'm using Google.
Right.
All signatures shows everything, including the dummy one here I made up at a meeting not too long ago. I haven't deleted it yet.
Yeah, and
You can't do them all.
it's
You
type
can't do them all at once, you have to do them one at a time.
Oh, sure, you can select multiple ones. It's
Okay.
okay. You can do whatever you want.
Here's the thing.
I'm just writing these both down in Google if I want to.
Okay. First off, those signatures are tied to each account. Okay, and the reason for that, the reason I know that is when we went to Hawaii last time, my wife said, "We're not taking your notebook this time. We're just going to take an iPad." Okay, so I set up her mail account and my mail account on the iPad. Well, mine was already on there. And then what happens is when she's doing her mail, she can't access my thing for the Apple Doctor that says, how many years I've been in business and all that jazz. But she can access her list of things. And she has one with a picture of her book, one's without, all these different things that she does. So it's tied to that. And, if you can see them and copy them, great. But I tell you, and I have my worst thing of this week, Greg, I tell you, how many people use Microsoft Office Outlook for their mail? Anybody? No. This is a program, and it's in Microsoft Mail. Excuse me. It's in
The Office Suite.
Office
It
Suite.
used to not be available for a Mac under the name Outlook. It's only in the last few years it's been available
Right.
as Outlook.
And so what happens is when you install Office 2011, that gets put on. It's put on your dock and all that stuff. And I recommend not doing that because it does not follow Apple standards for storing the mail. So I had a guy that was in and he had that. I said, "Why aren't you using mail?" Former PC guy, I guess, I don't know. And we were trying to recover his mail that was lost. Well, it's not stored anywhere that you can find easily. And with Mac Mail, if you go to the right folders, you can find your inbox, your account, your inbox, your outbox, sent mail, junk mail, all that stuff. You can find folders with each one of those, and if you wanted to take and grab them, select them all at one time and put them in a folder, and then go back to Apple Mail and copy them back in. That's the way to do it. But we just had fits, and finally he just said, "Let's give up and move on." It was just terrible. I was gonna, in fact, that's what I texted you that night that I said, "Are you still up?" Was that? Okay. Yes.
Along with this, calling the mail stuff. What about the changing the password? Hear that change your mail password, the email password, the calls, like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand if somebody's hacking into your address.
That kind of thing.
Change your password, that fixed it.
Yeah. The thing is, first off, you've got to make sure that if you get a notice from in an email saying you need to change your password, you better authenticate first. And then don't press the link to get to your to the service or their servers. You take and you type in the information to get to there and change your password, because there's nefarious people out there that that's what they're after, is getting into your mail system. And so what happens is, and that's how Bonnie had the problem, was somehow she unknowingly was tricked into giving up her email and password. They'll come in and they'll say, Chase Bank is doing a deal and we want to verify account on our systems. And it'll look like Chase and everything, and what happens is they capture it. Once they capture it, immediately they have a robot come in and grab your whole address book. Now, they can do other nefarious things. They can also wipe out your address book. And if you don't have a backup, you're going to be typing for a while.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this pretty green first.
Go ahead.
All right, if you're going to make a backup, and even though I've got Time Machine, and I've also got Carbonite, I've got 2,370 cards in my address book. 2,370, because I've got all the old people that I used to work with. Who knows? Maybe they'll be worth some money someday. If I want to back this up, you see there's an option up here under File to export as a PDF or export as a V card. First off, select all contacts. If I only select, let's say, after hours back, it's only going to export just that. So select all contacts if that's what you want. Come on down here, let's look at the two choices. If I export as contacts archive, and that'd be the most common way you would think to do it. Here's the drawback. Only those files, that backup is only usable on another Macintosh file.
Right.
If you had to use that address book on a PC, you're screwed. If you wanted to use it, the contacts archive is unique to Apple as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Now, I do, but you know what? It takes up very little space. Look at it, comes up with a brilliant name. Contacts in today's date.
And
So,
AAAD.
I'll write that on there somewhere, yeah.
Okay.
So go ahead and do it. You saw it was done. But then also with the all contacts selected, come on down here and do an export V card. V card is a standard for almost any current mail-based application on almost any system. V card is a standard. So save it as a V card. It'll come up with a different name, and then you can drag that V card file to a PC if need to, and put it into Outlook's mail. They will accept V card.
Okay. So
do it both ways. Just cover your
butt.
And email it to yourself.
As your passwords. And the thing is,
V card's a little slower.
Yeah, but the thing is also, every time now, Greg and I, when he was unemployed, we used to have each other on iChat on all day.
More than no life.
Just be thankful you got one now. I tell you. How many years now? 2?
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5. So what happens is, anytime I'd have a question that was exceeding my knowledge, I'd contact Greg. And so Greg says, Steve, just go Google it. And we always tell you guys, Google. If you've got any questions, and I met a lady last night, an older lady, who older than me, and she was on her iPhone.
Wow, lady, she's still breathing?
Yeah, she is. But she had these 2 paddles in her hand.
That was self-start.
Self-start, yeah. So the thing is, in that case, say, convert Apple address book to Outlook, something like that. And what happens is, you're going to get a list of articles, websites, and the such. You will get not the chat rooms, they're called community rooms from, like say, Microsoft or from Apple. and you can go read about it. If there is a way to do it without doing what Greg said, then you try it, but make sure you back up first. Back up, back up, back up. Let me see, the gentleman behind you.
I want to buy a new iMac, but the new ones come out in October or whatever. I'm confused by the options you get for a hard drive.
Yeah.
In particular, one that's part flash and part.
Yeah, so they call it fusion drive.
And,
Yeah,
okay, and I did Google that, and some people say it's not worth it,
I don't think it is.
and some people say it's wonderful. So I was going to ask.
I haven't,
What did you say it was called?
Fusion.
Fusion Drive. Basically, what the Fusion Drive does is it watches you. And any applications that you use most often, like Mail and Safari and stuff like that, it takes and copies it from the hard drive to the flash area. And that way, when you go to run it, right up. Very quick. No,
Well, yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
Because it's all kept in RAM. Or
It's
in this case,
RAM,
flash RAM.
but it's flash RAM on the drive.
And your operating system is kept there as well. And then, as Steve was saying, it watches throughout the day what applications you use most of the time and what little, I forget what they are, they're like 64 gigs or something like that. So let the 500 gigs drive.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you got, for all practical purposes, you got two drives. But the Mac operating system shows it as a single drive.
Yeah, you don't know, it does.
You don't know what it's doing. It's invisible to you. So you get a single 500 gig drive, of which part of that is this solid state drive. And the whole idea behind it was, how can we get the system to run faster without spending the money on solid state drives? Logically, it makes sense. There's nothing wrong with it. They work quick. To me, though, nowadays, the solid state drives are getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can buy a 500 gig solid state drive for about $300.
Yeah.
So you could used to be able to buy drives at that price.
Yeah.
Regular drives at that price.
Okay.
So if this has a 500 gig solid state drive in it, I'll give you an example of how fast this is. I'm going to reboot this.
Okay. In the meantime, I was going to say, are you sure? And I haven't read up on the new.
I don't count this. You got to wait
Even though
until
my
it's
son
flat.
has, and he sends me links when he finds information he thinks I like or be interested. But it was my understanding that the new ones were going to have solid state hard drives. Now, the other thing, which makes it not fun, is everything is going to be soldered in. And basically, you have a problem with your computer, throw it away. I mean, it's nasty. The last one, let's see, these are all, I can pull these off
That was it.
by hand.
So from the music to this, what was that, maybe 15, 20 seconds? I can't type in a password. That's my problem.
Everybody's.
That's the utmost.
Same password as I do.
Could be.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's up and running.
Okay.
So, I mean, you're talking 30 seconds or less to be able to restart the computer. You don't mind doing that so much when you have to do that.
Now, how many people have the new iMac that has a very thin edge? Okay. Now, those things, when they advertised it, you watch, and they were showing you the edge, but at an angle. Because if you turn the thing, the back still is a little bit bulgy. Those things, the glass is glued on there with special double-sided tape, which is a bear to get off. And then the possibility of not being able, if you broke the glass, not being able to get it from Apple. And sometimes there's people that make them third-party and stuff. But you have to take this special tool and put it down there, and it has a little wheel, and that wheel
Like a
separates.
pizza cutter.
Not a pizza, almost like pizza. And so they're making these things that they're not going to be serviceable by anybody but Apple. It's pardon?
Who'd have thought it?
Yeah. I mean, things, and then the other thing, Greg, is some of these things go in cycles. Like, for instance, the printers. Years ago, when I started with Apple product, there was no printer. And we had to go through a 40-column thermal paper, then to an 80-column Epson and stuff like that. And they started out, they were pretty expensive. And over time, they dropped. Hard drives, the same thing. They started out, I spent $9.99 for a 149 megabyte hard drive. And I thought that was all I was going to need.
Okay, the first 10 megabyte hard drive for a Commodore was $9.99.
Yeah.
10 megabytes.
It's just ridiculous. And how things are getting cheaper. And I just recently bought for 119 over at Micro Center, a 240 gigabyte solid state drive for 119. Before the prices were quite a bit. That was in the $300 range. So they're good to use. There's been some chatter about, well, but they eventually will have problems because if you're writing over the same area all the time, it's going to wear out a bit or something like that. It's unknown.
That's why you have backups.
Yeah.
I have, it's a two-pronged question, the same issue. I have a huge music collection. I mean, huge. I got about 1,200 CDs. I got about 2,500 record albums, and I got about 200 concerts on DVD. I want to archive everything. I bought a 3 terabyte Buffalo external hard drive, and I'm just getting ready to do this. My question is, what formats balance quality with space? What suggestions does
The gentleman in the blue shirt back there, I think he's
Just space is cheap. Back up the highest possible quality you can.
Now,
I have 28,245 songs in my iTunes library.
He'll never listen
How
to
big
them
is-
all in his life.
109 gig.
How much?
109 gig.
Oh, 109.
Yeah.
And what format do you have?
Almost all of it's AAC. Some of it is in MP3.
Okay. So you're not talking about storing waves.
No.
No.
Okay. You're talking about storing
Waves is
AAC.
Windows.
Pardon?
Yeah, Waves is Windows.
Whatever,
I don't
still
know what
fine.
this says.
Wave is the same thing as essentially.
Is it?
Yeah, in terms of quality, I archive everything at the highest quality I can.
That's what Greg said, yeah.
And then I keep the MP3 version of it on my regular. But my archives are always AIS or Apple Longest or something like that. Or better yet, that FLAC or something like that.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm not familiar
Well,
with
I
that.
bought something over the internet.
That's the latest, greatest.
Well, it's
Doesn't Apple not have
lousy.
service for $75 a year.
$25 a year is called Music Match.
Yeah, and you can,
And that's-
any stuff that you got, you just give it to them, and they'll put it in 250.
Well, first off, let's rephrase that.
Okay.
Anything you buy from Apple is automatically part of it.
Yes.
Okay? Because you already paid for it up front. Okay? Then, anything that you rip or acquire, or however you, but you get it into the iTunes library. Once you turn Music Match on, Apple uploads that into your account if it needs to. If it looks and sees, oh, wait a minute, you already have After the Fall of Journey. I've got this turned off at the moment. We've already got After the Fall from Journey. We've got that same exact cut. Unlike the Google service, which does upload everything, Apple says that's kind of a waste for me to spend the time for you to upload it when I already have it. So instead, what it does, it just flags the copy up there as you legitimately having this somehow. It doesn't know how you got it. Available, and you can download it wherever you want to. So if I come over here and I click on the cloud symbol, one of the advantages that it's got going for it is if you, first off, you got an instant copy of all your music. Now, it is limited to 25,000. At the moment, they haven't offered that any bigger than that. And I had a whole bunch of sound effects in my library, and it was backing those up. So I had to go through a lot of effort to trash that, pull the sound effects out, keep them in a separate library, put them back in, because they don't have a way of selectively going in there and choosing what you want to be backed up to music or not. So the advantage is I don't have to keep 100, I haven't got 109 gigs on my iPhone, but I can download any song that I bought or put in a music pack and play it. So that's kind of a handy, so there's an instant copy right off the bat of that. At the moment, it doesn't pertain to anything other than music. Any movies or TV shows you purchase through Apple, you have those available. But nothing you've acquired somehow outside of Apple is available at Music Match.
Right, but
Or videos or movies.
the other thing is too, don't forget that your library is backed up on Time Machine. So,
Unless you chose not to.
unless you chose not to.
So I mean, for $25 a year, I think it's worth it. I think it's a good investment that I can have that music. If I get to work at the site, I wanted to listen to Jerry Seinfeld's comedy album, and I didn't preload this last night. I just go over and select, assuming that they're network button. I go over and select that and just download it.
Okay.
And it only takes some, it's coming over sound, so it's going to be good.
Okay. Courtney, you're next.
Well, it's 256. What it is.
This is something I've been trying to get in to tell people about back when Greg had the address book on Stone. On the left column there, it gets it up there. Along the left column there, it has a different group.
Sidebar. It used to call that sidebar. And Apple calls it sidebar to everything.
I think you'll probably already know about this, but maybe some of you don't. Part of the reason that I use that sidebar, and I'm sure that's what a lot of you do, is you want to put groups together in under some name, so they're all in the same place. When you want to send an email to everybody in that group, you don't have to enter each one separately. You just go grab the sidebar, drag it up, click on it, drag it up to the send field, usually blind copy the one I use, and it puts them all in there, bang, like that. Just one little simple step.
Yeah, it's really handy. That's what groups are for. It's basically taking a group.
And watch this, I'm going to put in gag group here,
Yeah.
right? And as soon as I move off of that, there's everybody in that group.
So you don't have to enter them one at a time.
That's right. Now, my sister, Teresa Beasley in Hawaii, if Teresa sends me something, it seems kind of stupid for me to send it back to her. So I can highlight that one and hit the delete key and take her out of that.
Exactly, yeah. It's real simple. And you can edit the individual ones once they're up there.
Yes, you can.
Do you notice anything familiar here in address book? Anything else that Apple provides you? Does that have the same structure as iTunes? The same structure as iPhoto? That's the thing I like about Apple's things. If you learn one, you're going to learn the other one much faster. And you can't get that structure with PC, the Office things and stuff like that. Yes.
Last month, I asked you about this problem when you opened up iTunes and it was asking you have sync from another thing you want to sync again or do not want to sync.
Yeah,
and you solved that?
No,
I'm getting that every time.
And the thing is, you're opening the iTunes on the computer?
Correct.
God, I had that happen to me a while back, and then when you mentioned it last month, and I said, yeah, I've had this the past month. I've opened my iTunes lately, and it hasn't done that. I don't think I did anything. So,
I was telling you to
still
sync
getting it?
before, but you said you told it don't sync, so I'm starting to know about it. You were telling it don't sync? Is that what you were telling me?
Yes, I was. Now, there again, you can be your own best helper. Go to Google and type in the just part of the text of that word box and search. And it will then explain, have things, articles from other people and things like that are in community bullet boards. And you try and read up about that and see what it is. I forgot what happened and how I got into it, but it's not doing it anymore. So how can you fix a problem that isn't there? Yes. You.
Okay. Yeah, recently I lost my bookmarks, most of my bookmarks in the Safari. And just wanted to know if there's no way to cover that without going through too much trouble.
Do you have a time machine backup?
Don't say no.
No, no.
We won't hear of it, guys.
So I can recover for climate change?
Sure.
You can't get some machine for a G3 or a G4.
That's why you have to move into the 20th century.
Come on, Corky, spend a little of that money you're hiding.
Get rid of the car you can't drive.
I don't have it anymore.
Get rid of the car you can't drive. And get yourself a semi-current Mac.
I mean, there are all sorts of places that can get you.
You know, something that doesn't need the little mouse running in the wheel.
He's using one of our the club's old computers.
And that's fine for certain things, but you know what?
But
If
you
you
want to
want to
play.
take advantage of some of the newer stuff, shoot, that's
Hey, Greg, here's the thing you got to
Coming up.
understand. If you want to play with the big boys,
I don't know, that's, you know, my wife asked me the other day on her laptop, we can't upgrade it past like 11.
no,
And she says, well, I'd really like to upgrade that to Mavericks. And I said, okay, it's going to cost us about $500-600 to get a refurb laptop that'll allow you to do that. Now, what are you going to do with it? Well, I'm going to use it for my email and for web search. Seems kind of pointless. It's your choice, dear. You want to spend the money? I don't care if you want to spend the money. Kind of pointless if you're only going to be doing email and some web and occasionally some spreadsheet. To do it because what you have works right now. You want to spend the money to move 5 or 6 generations, you know, laptops or whatever up.
are you going to take advantage of
Yeah, are you going to take advantage of it? Basically, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
I guess the 1 or 2 times I might want to do that, I could use your laptop. Sure you can.
Yeah.
That's why your name. That's why you have an account on there.
Oh, you gave me the count. Oh,
She does. She can use it during the day when I'm not there. I don't care.
yeah. Just he wants to be able to see it when he gets home. And okay, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the phones as far as the best quality that you can get with the, if you wanted to save your CDs, you can use it, those by camera and the 11 cabinet, and also save the music as a disk image.
Yeah.
It's going to take an awful lot of memory,
Yeah.
but it will be the same quality as a CD.
Yeah, that's true. Okay,
Steve,
yeah.
I have a 2009 MacBook Pro, and it does everything I want except one thing. It's limited to 2 bytes of RAM. And I'm always pushing the limit about it.
I don't know why. My son, I forgot, he's got a Mac Pro Power.
MacBook Pro.
Yeah, but he has a Mac Power. And he does video editing, he does all that stuff. And I think he's got 7 gigs. So those you can have odd numbers.
Well, the biggest problem, believe it or not, besides the OS itself,
Yeah.
is Safari. I usually have Safari open when I'm working on Photoshop elements and a couple of programs like that. And it gobbles up the RAM like you can't believe. And notice under Activity Manager, besides the Safari application itself, there's a whole bunch of other files associated with Safari that are running in the background. And my question is, what would happen if I just killed those processes using Activity Manager? Safari open.
I would rather close the application.
Yeah, I would close the Safari application.
See, with the iPhone or the iPad, you take and right now, if you take and you double click real fast on the home button, click, now you've got little thumbnails of all the programs that are running. Okay, the thing is you can do one at a time. Oops. Okay. One at a time. Yeah. Or you can do 2 at a time. And I've been able to do.
Position is just right.
Yeah, and they'll spend more time trying to get 3 fingers
So
off.
you can, like Greg says, I can do this quicker, you know. But I'm shutting the app down completely.
Chances are it's already shut down. But still.
It's Quake Watch, for instance. I've got that running while I'm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anyway, last question.
Yeah.
Greg's gotta wow us with this new app.
I'm contemplating, changing, service provider from Time Warner, Fios.
Isn't Time Warner the one that does everything? It has baseball, it has 1995 or 1495.
It's a pain where the sun don't shine.
Okay.
Anyhow, my wife, is upset because of the fact that she's had her, email account on Time Warner all these years, and her email account being changed.
Yep, it will.
Couple of questions regarding this. Is there any way that she could possibly make it so that everybody's automatically notified if they change?
Gee. Now, wait a second.
Okay,
What did Greg do before with email?
saved it.
Remove them. So all you do is take everybody in a group, and even if you don't want to take the whole address book,
Yeah.
you have your groups, the bridge players, the Chicago Club, this, that, and the other thing. You take and you want to write something different in each group, so you put their
I don't
email
think
in.
she's been using the Apple address book though, because until she got to the iPad a few months ago, she was always going online and using Time Warner's thing on what, so she's out of luck. Okay, the other thing is, when we actually go ahead and do the switch over, are there any steps that I should take besides just calling up and, ordering the new service and calling up Time Warner and telling them to take a hike? Is there anything else we should do in preparation?
No, back up your stuff. Make sure you've got, if you're using the address book to get, to address your emails, back that up as a archive file.
And you don't just depend on the time machine and.
No. I love Time Machine. I tout it all the time, and I say to people when I'm out there, I don't see you have a backup hard drive on this thing. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to. You've got to be overly cautious. It's better to err on the side of safety. Than to be frustrated when you've lost it. It's just not. Now, the other thing I'm going to mention to you, this is my personal feelings. It has nothing to do with the club or anybody else. I believe that when you buy hard drives, external hard drives or internal hard drives, that you buy them from a name brand manufacturer. Now, when I say manufacturer, I don't mean the C and Buffalo and any other of these. I mean Hitachi, Toshiba, Fujitsu, Seagate, Western Digital. Those are manufacturers. All the people are that do Buffalo and the C. Some of the C that designs are very nice. And any drives that they can get, they put in. So if they get a deal on this or they get a deal on that, and getting help is usually a real troublesome deal. I found that when I deal with Western Digital and Seagate, I can go right in, put their serial number of the drive that I've got in question, and it'll tell me if the warranty's good or not. And if it is, there's a process. And what I usually do is I say, send me the drive and I'll prepay or whatever, and they'll set aside the money on my card. They won't even charge me, but I'll get my authorization. And then they'll send me the drive. I'll swap it out, put it back in the same box, because if the box comes from them, I know it's going to be fine. Rather than running around the house or the garage looking for a box, and then you have padding and all that jazz. So, but the people that I mentioned, you'll see in Buffalo and anyone else that is out there that I've seen at Price, they don't manufacture, they integrate. Basically, they're integrating their box to their power supply and everything, and buying whatever drive they have. You know, they may be refurbished drives. You don't know. When you buy something new, you know what it is. So,
You have a comment.
on him,
You mentioned,
you want to hammer to hit him with?
you mentioned your wife, but you goes on to time whether, email, and she wanted to direct it in.
Yeah, that's how she was.
She probably created an address.
Yeah.
So there's a way to create a CRV file of that address book for you. Time Warner, then you can break that.
Well, you're saying the Time Warner stuff got downloaded onto the iPad?
How do
No,
you,
no, no, no.
how does she get to her mail? Does she go through the internet on Time Warner?
That's what it says.
That's what she used to do, and then a couple months ago, I set it up so that she could mail
On the iPad?
Yeah.
Like you have your
But I don't
iPad
think she
and
set up
your
her-
computer synced together. So basically, you've got to make sure.
No, it's not going to sync together because she insisted that when she bought her iPad, instead of using my account, she had to have an account of her own, so it wasn't getting synced with that.
That's fine, you know, that's fine. What I do, I've told my wife numerous times, she keeps her stuff in one of those, not day, kind of like a day run, but big one. And I say to her, look here, give me your thing, your address book. I'll have my son sit there for half the day or a couple hours every day and input all of her contacts. I've already put in all the family, all the cousins, and brothers, and brother-in-laws, and all that stuff, and make one master account. And then those people that you don't want on there, you just kind of ignore. But that way, if you walk over to my computer and needed to send something to your company that you're working with, you can go to my hard drive, my computer, sit down, and access your mail and do all that stuff. So, but the biggest word we can always tell you is backup, backup, backup. You know, if you don't, it's your own fault.
Hey, real quick to point to what you were talking about, using
Understand?
no,
Right.
you have options, you know, now I don't have a CD player with me, so constantly doesn't, not giving me that other menu choice up here. But here you look down here, when a CD is inserted, ask to import the CD, fine, let's go to import settings. You can import using, here's your choice. Apple's lossless encoder, absolutely nothing's lost. Bigger file. The AAC encoder, that's the Apple audio compressor, not the AAC. It was invented by the Dolby folks. MP3 can also encode in WAV if you want to stay with WAV. But if you go with the Apple lossless, that's not a problem either. Under AAC encoder, you have the choice of high quality, which is what the old iTunes was, 128 kilobit. The current iTunes is 256. That's what the iTunes Plus is. Or spoken podcast, which is like 72. It's pretty low. But you can also come down to custom and look. You can crank that up to 320. So if you still want to use, you still want to save space using a lossy compression scheme, but you want higher quality, you can go to 320 kilowatt, and you'll get higher quality. It's going to be lossy, but you get higher quality. So those are some options that are built into the iTunes utility itself. So you don't have to rely on a third party.
Right.
And you'll get those options if you have a CD plugged in here and you're going to import from the CD. And you're going to export, you'll have those options to be able to send it out.
See what it is, I use like, sometimes you put the CD, and they're gonna go and play the actual CD and compare the sound to the one that I recorded, and you use some kind of
Well, if you're using it just to duplicate, you don't even have to use iTunes for that.
right, no, I use those.
No, yeah.
But you don't have to use Toast, you can use this utility and make an image, an image file, make a disk image and convert as many CDs as you want. They're exact copies.
Right.
Okay, before we go too farther, we want to talk a little bit about Mavericks, but I want to show you what I did to get there. First off, I decided, was I going to put Yosemite on the internal hard drive, partition my internal hard drive, which is always a thrill, or back up normally you would have to back up your internal hard drive. Or do I want to put it on an external hard drive? I got tons of them. In fact, I meant to bring some here today to sell off real cheap if anybody wants. And then I thought, you know what, that's kind of unfair for testing purposes because the internal drive in this thing is a 512 solid-state drive. And I don't have an external solid-state drive. So I thought, I guess worst case scenario, Apple has Boot Camp, and I used to have that on here. I used to have Windows 7 on here, but I saw less and less need of it, so I'll put it back on if I need it. But I wanted to get that disk space back. Well, with Apple Boot Camp, you could partition an active drive, similar to what PCs could do with partition patching. You can partition an active drive, move the files around to make sure, create a partition for adding the Windows operating system. But Apple has made that exclusively for that purpose. There was a few hacks out there that allowed you to build a boot camp partition, but then change it and use it for something else. So I started looking around and I thought, well, maybe I could just do that. Everything's backed up, and I can back it up overnight one night with another drive. I guess if I have to, the next day I'll reload everything back on again in order to be able to partition it. Well, guess what? Apple, in their infinite wisdom, has, on the later operating systems, I think it started with Snow Leopard, you can partition the active drive you're on. I didn't know that. I read about that on Google. I don't know why it changed the name Yosemite. But that would normally just say whatever the drive was. That's my 512 drive right there. And if I come over here to the partition option, you can see I've got a Mac partition that's 438 gigs and a Yosemite partition that's 60 gigs. But believe it or not, it would let me, not there, but up here. I'm going to go ahead and make the Macintosh one. And I'm not going to do it now. That won't do what we do now. That's set up. Okay. But it'll let me create a space on the Macintosh drive, since I had that selected, and build another partition and create myself a 60 gig Yosemite partition. So I didn't have to back anything up. Now, I have backup just in case. They didn't have to. I'm just letting you know the later Mac operating systems don't select the actual boot drive, select the actual hardware that the drives. Remember how you select from here? Here's my iTunes drive. Here's the base hard name of the drive. Here's the actual stuff that I see. Same deal here. So that allows me to make a 60 gig partition. I signed up for the Apple developer thing. It's a freebie.